everybody. Welcome to Mystifying Miracles. The story today just involves a family that went through something back in the 60s, and it just goes to show, when things look hopeless or you just feel like all has been lost, there's always a statement I love that I've heard from many, especially the person in this story. You can always think, but God, nothing is ever all lost because of that. So stay tuned. We're going to dive into Johnny's story. It's in regards to a fire that happened in his home. Let's get into it. In the autumn of 1964, Johnnie McNeil was just 10 years old. His family lived in this little old-framed two-bedroom home, and there were his parents, his siblings, his grandmother, and of course, Johnny. Now, Johnny says he grew up at a young age knowing to have a relationship with God. It was a Christian household, and he said he has his grandmother to pretty much thank for that. Johnny also states, while he was just 10 years old, he can remember back before that time, and he said that he'd never really witnessed God moving throughout his family in a miraculous way, so to speak. But then when he was 10, something occurred, and something miraculous at that. Johnny remembers every night before bed, his grandmother would just get on her knees and pray. And I mean pray. He says she'd pray for an hour or two in some instances, like clockwork, every night. And then she'd do the same thing when she got up every morning before getting her day started, another hour or two in prayer. Now, Johnny being 10 years old, he never quite understood, okay, I understand praying. We all pray, but he never understood why it took so long. I can remember being that way as a kid too. You're thinking, okay, you're kind of impatient. So he didn't get that connection of, okay, why is she doing this for an hour, you know what I mean? But he says eventually he did find out that reason. Johnny says he eventually learned that Grandma, she would pray for as long as it took till she felt like she got an answer from God, or she felt like she was no longer defeated by the enemy. So if that was 1 hour, then okay. 2, sometimes 2. As I referred to in the beginning, Johnny's house, 2 bedrooms, that's it. It was old, and they were cramped in there. His family, they were poor. I mean, they had the parents, but they also had 9 children, plus grandma, in a 2-bedroom home. So Johnny says this was incredibly difficult, but they made do, and they were thankful that they even had a roof over their heads. So in 1 bedroom, he said it was his parents and all of the small kids, all the youngest ones. And then across the hall in the other bedroom, Johnny slept with his older sister and his grandmother. They also didn't have electric heat. So they used these little wood-burning stoves in each of the bedrooms. And then, of course, they had the big stove in the kitchen where they used to heat up that part of the house. The oldest boys in the family, they were the ones that were responsible for maintaining the heaters, getting them ready every night. So they'd check the bedrooms, make sure there was extra wood that could be thrown on the fire. It's all burned and whatnot. They clean the ashes every day and that sort of a thing. But you got to remember, they're just kids. Even though they're the oldest in the family, they're not thinking of all the safety precautions, I guess you could say. So these heaters, they were very low to the ground. So the kids really didn't know that shouldn't be that way. Also, they weren't thinking about the floorboards. They were very dry. In addition, there were many parts of the house that was just old, rotting wood. That's terrible if a fire gets started. So not even the adults were thinking of this because they'd never had any problems up until this point. Well, one night, this was the winter, of course, everyone gets in their beds, they're fast asleep, and the floor in one of the bedrooms catches fire. And it happened in the room where Johnny, his grandma, and his sister were sleeping. Johnny says after the fact, when he grew up, he says, yeah, looking back, because of the dryness of the boards and the rotting wood and the heaters low to the ground, they were made of tin. He said it was just a death trap waiting to happen. So as that fire is going on, no one in the house wakes up. Not even his grandma, Johnny, or his sister in the bedroom that it occurred. They slept right through it. Never smelled anything, heard anything, felt anything. Well, the next morning comes and all the boys that take care of all the heaters and the wood and everything, they get up to do their chores, right? They go into the bedrooms to clean up all the ashes and the heaters, and they're like, oh my gosh, there's a huge hole just burned through the floor. And so everybody's getting up and they're like, Johnny remembers, it was a clear big hole all the way to the ground. It was a pier and beam house. So he said he remembers them putting their heads through the hole and seeing, you could touch the ground, the dirt, the grass, all that, and you could see underneath the whole house. It was a pretty large hole. And his whole family were just baffled. Like, how did none of them smell smoke, hear the flames, see the flames, anything? They all slept right through it. Johnny says that though, because none of his family woke up and realized this, they took it as evidence of God blowing out the flames. And Johnny says otherwise, he would not be alive today to even share this story. And so, to wrap this up here, his family knows and believes that it was the hand and breath of God that saved them that night. Johnny's dad did end up repairing the floor, and they kind of learned this lesson. They were like, oh gosh. So he also built stands for each of the heaters in the room so that this would not happen again. And it didn't, thank goodness. They learned a lot about that night, and it even brought them closer to God. And I like the quote at the end by Johnny. He says, I think about this miraculous act of God often because, again, there was no reason for this fire to go out but God. Yeah, I agree with that. That's not a chance thing, especially with an older frame house like that, with the rotting wood and all those elements combined. It definitely was a miraculous thing that their family was spared and that all was well. What did you guys think of this story? Let me know in the comments. I hope it blessed you. I hope you have an incredible week. And I just thank you guys for watching, and I'm going to see you for the next one.